Chicago. Have you come to visit our church in Chicago yet? New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Houston, South Africa, Charlotte, South Carolina, South Africa. All right, the Lord bless you all, Florida, originally from Scotland. I am doing a pop-up while I am catching up on emails here tonight. And tonight's pop-up is on how to pursue a woman. I was asked, occasionally I'll do videos that people are requesting. And this was one of them. I originally was not going to do this video because every time I do some type of teaching like this or relationships or anything like that, people think I'm talking directly to them, and I'm not. And then folks go to sending crazy messages, not realizing I have a social media team that, they see your stuff when you're sending that craziness to me. So don't do that, in Jesus' name. I'll just go ahead and listen, being a woman. It's going to be beneficial for the women too, so that women, you can set some expectations for yourself. If you're watching on YouTube, let me know where you're streaming in from. Shanice, Grace and Peace, Aaliyah, Mika, Spoken Word, Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta, are you a part of our Atlanta core team? All right. Okay, let me respond. Let me tell y'all something. I get so many emails every day. This inbox becomes just a never-ending spill. Yes, I have. It was you all's last service at the hotel conference room. Okay, well, good. Thanks for coming through. So, how many of you all are in the... As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to limit this to the dating space. This is, you're married, you're engaged, you're dating, you're single, ready to mingle. All of those things, all of those places, whichever space you are, it will be beneficial to you. One of the things that social media does is to develop for us and within us a scarcity mentality about relationships in particular. Happily married after 32 years. That's the goal. A scarcity mentality that there are no good men or no good women, that, the dating pool is full of pee and all of those things. And while on occasion there are floaties in the water, in the dating pool, the good thing is that even where there may be some filtering of stuff into the pool has chlorine in it, and so it's able to neutralize. It's able to neutralize that stuff. And so one of the things I want to encourage you, especially you single people, we single people, is do not adopt the idea that Shanice would be floaties in it. Do not adopt the idea that all of the good men, all of the good women, all of the good people are gone or don't exist. Do not adopt the idea that, no woman is to be trusted, all men are cheaters. Do not adopt the idea. Somebody said they're waiting on the Lord's pick. Well, I don't know. God picked his spouse, his bride, so you might have to pick your own, Lean not to your own understanding. Acknowledge him. He'll direct, but I don't know that God is picking your spouse. I don't know about that. But nonetheless, do not adopt the mentality that, it's just not going to happen for you. Somebody type in the chat, there are plenty of good people left. Now, I will say that there are probably more good women than there are good men, but then there are also more women than there are men. And I will say that somebody said, what if God shows you a dream of a man a few times? Well, V, I don't know, because people be having all kind of dreams about me, and I don't have no parts of that. I don't be in the dream. That be a familiar spirit presenting as me. So I don't know. I can't speak to that. I'd have to know about the dream. I'd have to know what's going on in your life. There's just a bunch of pieces I'd need to know to be able to speak to that. So a friend of mine sent me a text and was like, you should do this video after seeing some of my teaching online. Prior to this season in ministry, I was practicing as a marriage and couples counselor. Now I only, really provide marriage counseling, couples counseling to the members of my church. But one of the things that the culture has done is pit men against women, women against men. And wherever there is that kind of polarizing, men play both sides. They're into the catch-up thing. What is that? What's the catch-up thing? Where there is this polarizing of men against women, women against men, then there is a loss of some of the characteristics that should be common to us that are born again. Characteristics where we are attempting intentionally to out-honor one another with one another. That should be a characteristic and a character trait of the born again. Before we even start dealing with relationships and romantic interests, and before we even get to that, just as a character trait, these comments are a little difficult to see tonight, y'all, because I got on this light hoodie and the words are white, so it's making it difficult. So I'm having to get up on it like I'm 90. And so where that gets lost, then something else is lost in the romantic dynamic. And what gets lost there is, as an attempt to protect and avoid getting played, disappointed, betrayed, hurt, rejected, whatever else, we can often come into the romantic space or the dating space and leave the intentional part of us at the door, because we're waiting to see who's going to be, going to be what. Especially for men, after men have experienced, the culture has taught women, some women, to see men solely through our provisionary ability. So you got women out here who, some of y'all just go out with a man, not because you're interested in him, but because you're hungry and you want a good meal, a free one. If you're doing that, there's something very unhealed and very base about some of your ethic. If you're going out with somebody who you know is interested in you, but you're not interested in them, but you'll get a free meal, so you go, there is a part of you that needs some deep healing. And there's some introspection that is needed to assess, number one, why you would be okay leading a person on who you know has a different interest in you. And then number two, why you would be okay giving access to your space, your presence, to a person that you're not even interested in like that. If the value for energy exchange for you is just a meal, then your energy is too cheap anyway and has not yet matured to the point of being safe in a relationship. One of the things, though, men have a responsibility. Now, of course, I'm more traditional, and so I've got certain traditional values. If you're on the the culture of women pursuing men, then this may not fit within your dating worldview. But number one, and ladies, you should have this as a requirement that the man provides. Number one, men, brethren, you must pursue with clarity, not just with vibes. It's the vibes for me. A woman should not need to decode your intentions. Say what you want. Say what you are interested in. State what the goal is. Articulate where you're headed. Because y'all put this in the chat, uncertainty is not romantic. It's immature and it's irresponsible. And not only is it immature and irresponsible, but it is, it's really a manifestation of a lack of confidence and a measure of fear, that you're afraid to be definitive just in case she isn't, what you want or what you thought she was. You're afraid to be definitive in case, or maybe you're afraid because she may be it, and then you actually have to become decisive, and you weren't really ready to be decisive. One of the reasons, or one of the things for me in personal space and personal interactions that I have just as a rule, I show up in my life in a way where you don't have to assume anything as where I'm concerned. I'm going to tell you what I feel. I'm going to tell you what I think. Whether we're talking about ministry, we're talking about church, we're talking about business, we're talking about life, or if we're talking about in the dating space. If a man is interested in you and he cannot definitively communicate that, then he is not ready to sit with you. If a man is interested in you and you are an intentional dater, you're dating with the intention for marriage, and he just wants to get to know somebody and we'll see where it goes. While indeed all relationships are going to begin seeing where it goes, there has to be directional effort. So there has to be a pursuit with clarity, which means not just a pursuit with intention, but also pursuit with direction. There has to be directional effort. And one of the things that I think is just, again, just an act of dishonor is attempting to get to a table with a person that you know is on one thing, but you want something else, but you just want entertainment for the moment. So you know this woman is dating for marriage, but you're just trying to hit. Or you know this man is dating for marriage, but you're just trying to eat and you're trying to, get flued out. Right? That is a seed of dishonor that you will have to eat from the tree of. That seed will produce a tree, and that fruit will come back into your life. So there's got to be clarity. Number two, we're talking about how to pursue a woman. Number two, consistency. Women, remember this. Consistency is his credibility. Hear what he says, but he is saying more with what he's doing than he is saying with what he's speaking. Big gestures are easy, right? But patterns are proof. And a woman should be able to set her watch to a man's reliability. If he keeps you guessing, so there's no pattern that can be created, well, that's about ensuring that no expectations are created. And any man who is creating a dynamic that prevents you from being able to set expectations for him, because I just want to vibe. I don't want the pressure of expectations. Well, if you are a person who is dating for marriage, then you don't need to be at the table with anybody who doesn't want the pressure of expectations. Come on, because relationships bring the pressure. And if you're not ready to have pressure applied, and if you're not ready to apply pressure, then stay over in the kiddie pool. And never, hear me, if you got to be afraid to require clarity and consistency, if you're afraid to ask about that, clarity and consistency, then the foundation is already unstable and shaky. Brothers, if you keep her guessing, you're not pursuing, you're playing. Now, no, this doesn't mean that at day number one, you're certain about where that relationship is going to end. But there does need to be an intention about where you would like to see if it could end. Marriage must be the goal, which means marriage becomes the driving and guiding light, which means if there are ethics, if there are behavior patterns, if there are cycles that operate outside of the framework of what a marriageable partner would be contributing to a relational dynamic, then that gives you data about whether or not this is a person that you need to be considering in that way. Are you catching this? So be consistent. And whether that consistency is, now we're talking about in the initial talking stage, right? Whether that consistency is you texting, every day, or it's every other day. We're talking about just in the talking stage now, just the talking stage. In the talking stage, y'all do not necessarily have to be on the phone every day, but at some point in that talking stage, it should mature to that, because I would question the seriousness of any person who at some point does not begin to make you a consistent part of the daily routine and regimen of their life. Are you catching this? 3, men pace intimacy, but accelerate curiosity. So be slow about allowing her and or you to develop emotional attachments prematurely, which means you have to have a healthy sense of internal emotional boundaries around yourself, around your inner self. I'm not talking about emotional unavailability either, because that's a different problem. I'm talking about pacing and managing your emotional availability responsibly. That you should not be carrying a person emotionally in the first day you've met them. You should be considerate of them emotionally, but you should not be carrying them emotionally, because what often sets men and women up for unnecessary heartache is a lack of, I'm talking internal boundaries. I was doing a teaching series in our church in Chicago, Burdens and Boundaries. Just a lack of inner world boundaries around your inner self and your emotions and your feelings. And ladies, be careful, be aware of a man that encourages you to very swiftly begin to emotionally depend on him. That's telling you something about his emotional health. Some good boundaries. So again, in this context, I'm not necessarily talking about behavioral boundaries. I'm talking about inner boundaries, but some good boundaries, behaviors that then will contribute to the inner boundaries may again be to pace the length of communication that is happening very prematurely, or very early rather. Right? Being mindful about the distinction between how I feel about this person versus how this person makes me feel, keeping those two things distinct and clear. Reminding myself, okay, you can't be authentically feeling that for this person because you don't know them. You don't know them. You at best are developing feelings about an ideal and an idea that you have created in your mind about who you think they are. But in those early stages, you don't know them. Sister Jessie said you got to be careful of the lust that lies within you that makes you attracted to that person. Be delivered. Well, what kind of lust are you talking about now, Sister Jessie? We got to have some physical and even sexual attraction, right? Sexual attraction is not sinful or problematic. It's when that lacks boundaries in government, right? Ladies and gentlemen, don't you be with nobody who ain't trying to be with you, on you. And that too. Amen. Bless the name of Jesus. Come on. Something you need to be saying. Got to know you in a better way. I got to know you in a better way. Anyway, slow the emotional connection down, but be intentionally curious. Ask meaningful questions. Learn her values. Let me tell you something. In the first 7 days of communication with a person who's expressing interest in you, ladies, there should be a conversation about core values and core needs. I'm having that conversation very early because if there's not alignment there, I don't care how fine you are. I don't care how anything you are, if there's not alignment there. Because see, that fine may wear off. Down the line. Now, don't let it wear off too soon now. But down the line, that fine may wear off. We got to make sure that there's alignment and compatibility down on the inside. Is dating pre-relationship? We're going to come to that in a minute. Remember your question. We'll talk about defining those different phases and stages. What are her fears? What are her dreams? Don't allow chemistry to drive. See, that chemistry is the result of a bunch of chemicals being released in your body. And depending on what your life experiences have been, depending on what your traumas have been, depending on some of your biology, your brain chemistry can require some toxic mixtures in order for you to be feeling this sense of chemistry that is that you're feeling. So don't allow chemistry to drive. Right? In the early stage, it needs to be about connection more than chemistry. Because let me tell you, that chemistry will come and go. Sometimes you'll like them and sometimes you won't. Sometimes it'll be come here. Sometimes it'll be get away from me. Number 4, men. We're talking about how to pursue a woman. Number 4, you need to build trust before you begin to bargain for her heart. See, don't pull for vulnerability where you aren't trustworthy. See, before you ask her for faith, trust, you need to demonstrate faithfulness. Everybody type in the chat, faithfulness invites trust. And the confusion becomes where, ladies, y'all convince yourself that you should be trusting of a person who has not proven trustworthy. And then you let them convince you that you got trust issues when there's really a lack of cause for trust. It ain't a trust issue if you haven't been proven trustworthy. I don't have no trust issue. Right? He's inconsistent. He doesn't have patterns. He doesn't want you to have expectations, but he wants you to trust him. No, he wants you to be open to him. You need ATL info. Send an email to Atlanta@reformationculture.com. Atlanta@reformationculture.com. Number 5, be a force of peace so that your presence is rest inducing. See, if your presence is causing her anxiety, now again, this is to assume now ladies, you know, some of you got your pre-anxiety, you got built-in anxiety, you bringing that with you, you know, especially those of you who have an anxious attachment style, or even those of you who have a fearful avoidant attachment style, you lean more to the anxious end of the spectrum. You bringing that with you. So I'm not talking about that. Let me tell you the things that will produce anxiety in a person you're talking to. Inconsistency, consistent aloofness. Hear me. Don't spend time talking to somebody, trying to get to know somebody who keeps demonstrating to you that they don't want you to get to know their inner world. In a romantic relationship, it's kind of a requirement. You gotta open up to let somebody begin to know responsibly your inner world. Now, there's some relationships where that's not a part of it, but not a romantic relationship. Is what linked to fear, Carla? Ashley, it's a late night pop-up, Ashley. Number 6. Investigate her healing. Carrying the marks of yesterday's experiences should not in and of itself be a disqualification. But I will tell you what is a disqualification: denial. Everybody brings baggage, everybody. And if you have the attitude, well, don't bring your baggage over here because I'm not going to be responsible, then again, you're not ready to take responsibility for another human being. If that's your attitude, then you are not mature enough for a relationship, because a relationship and you stepping into that place in somebody's life is saying, I am willing to help you. Now, I'm not going to care for you, but I am willing to help you and support you in carrying what comes with you, because something comes with everybody. You got baggage, you got baggage, you got baggage. Anxious out of fear of past hurts or traumatic experience from previous relationships. Certainly, or it could even predate that. It could go back into the way you were parented, and the lack of consistency in the affection and love dynamic there has taught you to experience the world through that same lens. I remember story time. I was talking to this woman, beautiful, had it going on, highly educated, 4 degrees, doctor, money, her own platform. And as we were journeying through getting to know each other, I started noticing a pattern that, number one, there was this certain wall that was set there that, okay, you can come this far, but stay right there. And then number two, when there were certain pressures and stressors in life, she would withdraw and would shut down. And I'm a communicator. So when I see something, say something. I don't assume, and I don't immediately say, hey, red flag, run. Some of you all are so swift with the running from the red flags, you disappear. Well, that's because you're a red flag. If the presence of a red flag makes you run, you are in denial about your own red flags. Everybody got a red flag. Now, you shouldn't have a whole field full of red flags. Your red flag should not look like a memorial park full of flags of fallen soldiers now. So I said, hey, I'm noticing something. I'm noticing, that in these type of dynamics, you kind of tell me what's triggering that, and tell me how I can contribute to you not feeling the need to do that. She said, oh, I'm not doing that. I think you're trying to put something on me. I said, hold it. Mm-mm. You're not talking to Joe Blow. I know both what I'm experiencing and clinically I know what I'm looking at. So I said, well, hey, just be mindful. Here's what happens. And I don't like the way that it feels. right? So journeyed on a little bit, it occurs again. And then there was this little piece of aloofness, right? Well, I don't play games. Well, only games I play is I play Song Association, I play Uno. Our new interim executive pastor in Houston said checkers is for chumps, but I'm a master in checkers. So although I haven't played in a long time, I don't know how to play chess. I play tic-tac-toe. I played the pool game on the iPhone. I haven't played that in probably a year, but I don't play games in life or with life. Don't have time for it. So I said, hey, here's this pattern again. Here's this pattern again. I said, and that's kind of incompatible with an intentional, process. And then I said, tell me what a person should expect from you in the getting to know you phase, because that may help me to shape my expectations a little better. And she said, well, I don't like expectations, and I don't like the pressure of expectations, and I think yada yada yada. Hold it, because I apply pressure and I bring pressure. And so if pressure is a problem for you, then I'm a problem for you. Because just go with the flow. I don't just go with the flow. I create flows. Yeah, I don't just go with the flow, and I don't just read temperatures. I set them. So I said, well, I said, that's not going to work for me. I respect it if that's the way you move, but that's not going to work for me. And so you got to be okay, men or women, you got to be okay saying, hey, you're a great person, but this isn't going to work for me. And when you don't move with a scarcity mentality, then you don't fear if the fundamental things are missing. You don't fear saying, hey, now I'm not talking about you nitpicking every little minor thing. Because if you are a nitpicker, you too are functioning from a measure of fear and avoidance. So I said that. I took a step back. We continued to talk here and there. So then we began talking again. She's saying she became more intentional, seemingly. But then the pattern represented itself. And then I said, well, let's have a conversation about your the way emotions and emotional dependency and consistency. Let's have a conversation about how that showed up for you in your family. Because for me, what I can understand, I can appreciate, and I can work with. If I can understand, let me see what the root of this is. And ladies, gentlemen, a person's awareness about why they are the way that they are is a potential sign of the capacity to rise above the way that they are. But if a person is in What's the last thing y'all heard me say? Facebook, YouTube. What's the last thing? Can y'all hear me now? I don't know, Facebook, YouTube. Y'all missed some powerful stuff in them 30 seconds then. I don't know. Ask the Lord to reveal it to you. I said if a person is aware, they have the capacity to grow. Indeed, awareness matched by willingness. Let me say that. Awareness matched by willingness is evidence of capacity. Because there's another type of awareness. There's an arrogant awareness. Yeah, I know what I am, and I know what I bring, and oh well, this is just where I'm at. Move around. So, ladies, you too need to investigate his healing. Let me tell you something. He can be a king, but if he's got unhealed trauma, that king will burn the castle down. You need to learn what shaped him. Men, you need to learn what shaped her. I'm silent again. I'm not silent. Is all of what? Pre-relationship, finding these things out? Oh, I'm not getting into no relationship with somebody if I don't know these things. Play Russian roulette with somebody else. That's a good one. Or they say God knows how I am and he accepts me. Well, go marry God. Except for the fact that God already got a bride. So I don't know what you're going to do about that. He's unavailable too. So, take me or leave me. Well, it depends now. Because if you ain't on the healing journey, then you may get left. So the pattern resurfaced. So thank you for bringing me back. Third time. So I say to her, hey, listen, because I got boundaries. I said, hey, listen, I've communicated to you that when you do X, Y, and Z, it makes me feel X, Y, and Z. That's not what I'm looking to feel with a person that I'm trying to get to know for relationship's sake. So, being that it seems that you're either unaware of it or unwilling to acknowledge it, and it's uncomfortable for me, Melanie, good to see you, then I don't think this is going to work, at least not at this stage in your journey. She said, well, I think you yada, yada, yada. I think you misreading, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not. I'm very clear. Now, she was in some different seasons in life that was bringing stuff up to the surface that she had not yet dealt with. And I happened to show up in that season and stage in her life. And so what you've got to learn to do is to be an investigator of healing. And I'm not talking about an interrogator. Look, search, assess. Don't be a million and one harassing questions. Somebody said that I break up with her. I wasn't in no relationship with her now. Until I break up. I can't break up with somebody I wasn't broke in with. Ah. Number 7, ask yourself, how will I be a blessing, benefit, and source of healing to her? Right? Because as a man who has a responsibility of headship, you need to be considering, can I contribute to her flourishing? Can I add in any way, and a significant way, to what she already is and already have going on? Right? Okay, you see what she can add to you. What can you add to her? Because if she has to become smaller around you for you to feel significant, you've already failed as a man in her life. How does who you are, what you bring, how does it serve her flourishing? Number 8, men, here's something in this post Kevin Samuel era. Hold boundaries without being a bully. Hold standards without being harsh and hostile. And ladies, you need this too. Having high expectation doesn't require you to be mean and have a harsh delivery. If there's any part of you that needs to demean her or demean him, if you are on a mission to humble her, and ladies, here's what you want to listen for: a man that's coming to humble you. So let's say you're an entrepreneur, you're about your business, you're single when this man shows up and he comes in talking about, I think you got too much going on, I think you should pull. Okay, God bless. Go be great with your lavender. Mm-hmm. How many of y'all watch Pop the Balloon or Find Love? So sometimes I've watched Pop the Balloon and Find Love, and there's been times where it's the male lineup and the women are coming out. And I remember watching, I'm talking about the original one now, not all these hood versions. I remember watching one, and this lady came out and she was a doctor. She was into real estate, had several properties. And it was something else, it was some third thing. And these men said, yeah, I think you got too much going on, you know. See, too much is relative. That's a whole nother, I'm not gonna go down that bunny trail tonight. Number 9, men, we're talking about how to pursue a woman. Here's a major one. Emotional leadership. If your idea about being a man requires you to maintain total emotional independence, you are not contributing to that woman's sense of safety. So what does emotional leadership look like? Initiating the hard conversations. Go first in vulnerability. Set the tone for growth and expectations and boundaries. Acknowledge the uncomfortable emotions. The most powerful type of partner to have or to be is the one who is comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. Because that's a person who can hold space and say, hey, listen, this feels very uncomfortable, but I'm here. Because building a woman's sense of security is the result of you maintaining the kind of presence that says when it gets uncomfortable, I'm not leaving. I'm committed to providing security. See, provision goes so far beyond the material. What are you providing? See, before you become her man, before you all get married, see, you ain't responsible to be providing for her financially. But what you get the opportunity to provide before that responsibility is placed upon you is emotional leadership, security. That says when it gets hard, I'm here. Get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. Get comfortable with, okay, yeah, this is uncomfortable. And whoo, my goodness. Talk out let me tell you something that will reduce your internal sense of anxiety. Is talking out the internal experience. Hey, this is uncomfortable. Woo, I need to scream. You might need to lean back and moan for the Lord. Because one of the things, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that will contribute to the consistent decline of the pace and momentum of relationship is if when the conversation gets difficult, you keep leaving. What you are communicating to that person, even if they can't verbalize it, even if they can't communicate it, what you are communicating to them is that when it gets difficult, you are going to step out. Talk about it. My stomach is feeling whatever. That will reduce the feeling of anxiety. Try it. Even if you have to say, hey, everything in me right now is saying to get out of here. But I'm not going to do that. See, the minute you bring it here into the space of conversation, you take power from it. I had one person, y'all know I only talk about it's about 4 folk that I've talked to. So it just be different pieces of stories from. One of them said to me, why are you so comfortable with uncomfortable conversations? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm great. Because everybody type this, you grow in discomfort. You maintain in comfort, but you grow from discomfort. If you want maintenance, stay comfortable. But you grow in discomfort. So if every time it gets uncomfortable, you out, plan to stay single. And I don't just mean physically out, because it's possible for you to remain physically present, but you have checked out. I'm good. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm good. Emotional leadership matters. Practice vulnerability. Practice it. Expand your vocabulary around feelings and emotions. Some of you men, women too, but I'm talking to the brethren. Some of you men, you may need to get an actual list of feelings and emotions words. Sister, you may need to get a list of feelings words. You may have to pull them out. Like, all right, right here in this space, I'm feeling this. Good is not a feeling. It may describe a feeling, but it is not a feeling. It is not an emotion. And then finally, pursue her into purpose. See, the quality and governance of your life should, without words, place a kind of healthy pressure that provokes her to pursue her purpose. That when you are so locked into the why that God has created you, the why that God has made you, when you are poured into that, see, it's impossible to be in a person's personal space who is purposefully producing and it not wake something up in you that says, all right, wait a minute. I got to get on it. Get down on it. Pursue her into that. Because marriage isn't acquiring a partner as much as it is aligning destinies. Right? If pursuing her and her being exposed to the pressure of your life's purpose doesn't provoke her into God's vision for her life, then she's going to become a distraction, sir. You wonder if the opposite is true as well? Oh, absolutely. Let me tell y'all something. That one woman I told y'all about, she was about her business. She was about her purpose. So I had to stay on my A game, because if I've got to lead her and she's about it, so what span of time are you collecting this data? A responsible talking stage, in my opinion, is 2 to 3 months. And by month number 2, you should begin moving towards singular talking. If you're a person who talks to multiple people for long amounts of time, then you ain't real serious either. I don't care what these folks say, these, people who be like, date them all. You can't be intentional with divided attentions. So 2 to 3 months talking. Then you need to be having conversation about exclusivity. Because what are we doing? what are we doing? You should find out that person's values in the first week. Well, they're communicated values because they may have values that they say, but then other values that they actually live. You should find that out in the first week. Core needs, first week. What do you need to feel secure in a relationship? What do you need to feel supported in a relationship? What do you need to feel seen rather in a relationship? What do you need to feel loved? I'm finding that out in the first week. I'm going to watch that out in the first month. Ladies, you should be assessing his credibility. Remember what I said, consistency is credibility. You should be assessing that from day number one. Right? Consistency doesn't mean daily or hourly. Okay, what is the pattern? Start looking to see, is there a pattern, or does he intentionally switch it up to keep you from being able to identify a pattern for him? See, that type of behavior, that's very telling too. Ladies, you need to be assessing his degree of purpose awareness and purpose commitment from day number one. Is this man in his garden? And is he keeping it and dressing it? Disciples of Christ, it's available over on YouTube. It's recorded there. See, God gave Adam Eve in his garden. That man needs to be in his garden. He needs to be keeping or dressing it, which means to cultivate it. He needs to be, how is purpose being built? Okay, he's got all of these wonderful ideas in his heart. Are we seeing anything materializing? Hey, what have you done in the last 3 years that is an intentional contribution to your purpose? Well, I really don't know. Come back when you know. Mm-hmm. But see, ladies, if you operate with a scarcity mentality, you will ignore the absence of purpose-mindedness. You'll ignore that because, well, he's a good man, Savannah. And then some of y'all be ignoring it about men who ain't good men. He's just a man. Ladies, if you are 20 to 28 and you're dealing with men who are 20 to 25, listen to his plan. He may not have much proof. Listen to his plan, assess his work ethic, hear his dreams. You start dealing with 29, 30, 40. Okay, let's see a little bit of a resume. If you're dealing with 40 to 50 and he's still dreaming without ever producing, now you never want to stop dreaming. But see, you got to wake up from some of them dreams so you can go and build them. Because see, if you're dreaming all the time, that means you're sleeping too much. Wake up, go build one of them dreams, and then come back and dream some more. So you can't be in no perpetual state of dreaming. All right, I'm past my time. What did they used to say on the televangelist show? They say, I'm out of time, but I'm not out of word. I'll take a couple of questions if y'all got questions on what I talked about right here. All right, right here. Men, here's something else, how to pursue a woman. At every turn in the relationship, you need to be defining it. When y'all are talking, define it. We're talking. Here's what talking means to me, right? Because you cannot set expectations without definitions. So provide definitions. At every stage, bring definition. Let me see what time my first meetings are, because I didn't get much email checking done just now. Hold on. "45 to 55, Melanese, he better come with a resume, we need some work history, sir. I don't mean the job, I mean life. How much or often should we pray for a mate without getting out of balance? Well, I don't know that there's a certain amount, but you're out of balance with any prayer request when the lack of fulfillment of that prayer request compromises your confidence with God, your standing in God. You better be praying for him. Sir, you better be praying for her. I'm going to say this, in the early stages of that talking, don't be doing too much praying together either. Because you see, that is a very spiritually intimate transaction. And you got to maintain against some emotional boundaries there. So don't be spending too much time, y'all shutting it in prayer together. Slow that down. Slow that down. Is it possible for your Boaz to find you before you have been processed? I believe there are many Boazes. I don't believe in the concept of the one. I believe there are many ones who can be the one. Now, there, of course, God in his omniscience, he knows who your one is, but I don't believe that that is something that is predetermined in terms of chosen for you. I believe it is pre-known. So yes, it is possible, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, you need to live moving towards ready, because you don't know when that man is coming around the corner. You don't know when that woman is. Is there such a thing as a man too shy to pursue, or is he just not interested? No, there's some shy men generally who are mentally and or emotionally underdeveloped. But he better figure it out or get left behind. I'm coming up. Do you believe a woman can pursue a man before a man pursue a woman? Do you believe a woman can pursue a man before? I don't think I understand the question. Do you think a woman can pursue a man? Reframe your question. Rest well. Why do men want women to chase them? What does that mean? Why do men want women to chase them? Well, what does it look like for a man to want a woman to chase them? What does that look like? Women should not pursue, women should not initiate, women should reciprocate. Women should reciprocate, which means, ladies, it's okay for you to call his phone if he's calling your phone. But if you're doing all the calling, you're also doing all of the falling. You like him more than he likes you. What about if you're married and he just isn't trying to be the head of the household? The woman prays for him, reads to him, but he's just not receiving the word spoken. Is that a door open for her to leave, since that's considered unequally yoked? That's not a reason for her to divorce him, no. Why do women chase men? It appears to be the California culture. Should a woman show interest or just wait for the man to lead in that direction? He's leaning in my direction. She can show availability. She should show availability. Demonstrate your openness. Demonstrate your openness. Would you say or not say that it is wise or not to date someone who does not have the same calling as life as yours? Compatibility is not about uniformity. How does one know for sure that they're supposed to be single for life? T, do you get horny? If so, the Bible said that in order to avoid falling from the burning, let every man have his own wife, every woman have her own husband. If you got an appetite and you got a belly, then you need a meal. And the Bible said the full man loathed the honeycomb. Y'all ain't talking, I'm talking better than y'all talking to me. I know y'all don't like this gospel. You don't like it. You don't like this gospel. Is it okay to feel like not dating anymore, not caring about marriage either? Is that the result of some type of trauma? Can a lady make the first move to a man? Well, it depends on what kind of move you're talking about. Depends on what kind of move you're talking about. That move, if you want to hold eye contact about 3 seconds longer than normal, amen. Is it a sin to kiss? You know, we had a little game of questions during Thanksgiving, and some of the saints said, you ought not be kissing. Some of the saints said you ought not be kissing. Okay, don't let your trauma drive. So you need to do some intentional healing work. That reminds me, I need to respond. Okay, I got to get to these emails, saints. You need to do some intentional healing work. So you may need to come out of the dating market for a while you do that work. But is it a sin to kiss? That's powerful. How should a woman know she's interested in a man? How should a woman show she's interested in a man? Depends on the nature and the dynamic of that relationship. What do I say? I'm going to answer you in just a minute. Being intentional about the level of curiosity that you express about what he has going on. Let me tell you something. Long eye contact is a powerful tool, especially for ladies. See, ladies, y'all don't have to do as much as men got to do. All right, somebody asked me about the kissing thing. Go to the book of Romans, chapter number 16. The Bible said, salute one another with a holy kiss. So I believe in a kiss. I believe the Bible. What's your thoughts about having a relationship before marriage? What do you mean? There was this one young lady we had on a podcast last year. She said she didn't believe in no kissing before marriage, except, she said, for the Eskimo kiss. I said, well, what is that? I've never heard of an Eskimo kiss. She says, when you take your nose, and I said, girl, if you don't get out of here, I dream of Jeannie. So if the husband and wife are unequal and the husband weighs her down and gets in the way of her calling, what is she to do? Leaders have come to speak with the couple, but still no change. Then what next? That couple needs to get into counseling. The couple needs to get into marriage counseling. If that spouse does not want a divorce, if the husband is not wanting to divorce the wife, then the wife, she should not divorce him. When meeting in ministry, how do you know if it's covenant? What do you mean? Ashley, somebody come trying to nose rub with me. If you don't get out of here, come rub your nose on me. Meeting someone while serving, if what is covenant? Do you believe in counseling early or late in the process? Relationship counseling, once you all are moving towards engagement, then yes. Tell her to kiss your eyes. Are y'all okay? You all right? Talking about kissing somebody's eyes. What? I wear glasses. right, y'all. The Lord bless you all. Prayerfully, it helps you tonight. Do me a favor. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go do it tonight. I think we just hit 22,000 subscribers. I think, Ashley, let me see, maybe you know this offhand. How many subscribers have we grown over the last year? Let's see. Analytics audience. In the last year, we have grown 21,600 subscribers from January 1 until now. Praise God. Yvette said she's done. She wouldn't try that self-control stuff. Just don't kiss before marriage. Well, listen, Yvette, if that's how you got to possess your vessel, then amen. In a marriage, if the wife wants kids and the husband doesn't know if he wants them, what do they do? Get in some counseling. All right, y'all. I got emails to go check. I'm leaving the building. Y'all rest well. Thank y'all for hanging out with me tonight. Bless you.